Pivotal. Guys, did I call it? That's not a word I use very often. I'm not sure it's a word that I've ever used. Pivotal? I was all over New York City last week. People are asking me, why should we watch this weekend's UFC? Now, that's a very common question. You're working some kind of an interview, they just kind of tee you up. It doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth. You give some guy a 20-minute interview, 20-minute radio that he's getting paid for. You had to find a ride there. You had to book it well in advance. You get there. You can try to dress a little bit nice. This whole thing to be asked the one question, which is the pitch. Why should we watch? And it was pivotal. That was the answer I was attempting to give. That's not a great answer. Not in that question, not in that moment. It's a fantastic answer overall, but now you're starting to see why. So many things that happened on Saturday. Had those moments not happened, right? The fights that we're going to lead into. What happens to Jon Jones now? What kind of power did Francis Ngannou gain or lose? There's a lot of really interesting things that were never built into the card, and that with your time and in exchange of your money, you ever fully got paid off. But we're starting to see it now. The greatest heavyweight in the world is named Tom Aspinall. There was a statement made by Dana White 1 week ago, and they asked, with Stipe Miocic ready and with Sergey Pavlov ready in a backup position, which means Sergey goes in if anything happens to Jon or Stipe, something did happen to Jon or Stipe, Sergey would go in this case against Miocic. How come that didn't happen? And Dana said, it becomes an interim championship, and calling and offering Stipe an interim fight, that's just disrespectful. And it was such a perfect answer by Dana that it did not get a follow-up question. In fact, that was 11 days ago. If I was put in my job goes into the category of, Chael, find a follow-up question for that. I don't have one. I fully understood it when Dana said it. I did keep the thought, though. I did remember it. And when Saturday came around and Tom Aspinall is in the ring, and a quiet, stoic, baby-faced Russian assassin is coming to join him, right? I mean, if you watched those walkouts, if you were on the fence of who was going to win, that wasn't by the time Bruce Buffer, the guy in the shark suit, said what he had to say and got the hell out of the way. We all knew it was going to be Sergey Pavlov. It was terrifying. This little boy, remember that little boy haircut? I combed my son's hair today before school. I combed it like Sergey Pavlov, the same as I comb it every day. But there was something frightening to that mystique. Hollywood has brought us a mystique of the quiet, baby-faced Russian assassin. And here's the guy. Now, I bring it to you because they threw to Stipe Miocic again, but this time the fight was over. Tom Aspinall was the champion of the world. Tom Aspinall was supposed to be man number 7 to get put down and to sleep against his will inside of 5 minutes. And even the people that were really cheering for Tom, these aren't my numbers, these are DraftKings numbers. I worked for DraftKings. DraftKings has been a name that I say in an email and a voice over the phone. I went into the studio. I was there. One of their many, but the one out of New York, and they said, we've got all of our money coming in on this fight on the over. Is it over 1 round? And then they went back to 3. Is it more or less? Does the fight make it beyond, or is the fight finished prior to 3 rounds? And we never talk that way over here, right? We just take a winner and a loser, and here's why we believe he's going to win from a historical standpoint, and the loser has these deficits, historically speaking, and here's what they are. Get up and walk out of the room. But there are other ways to hedge your bets, and DraftKings talked about how much was coming in against the idea that Tom could even get into the second round. But this was the story going into it. I listen to you guys. I read your comments. I know you were very close, and I know there were some real Tom believers out there. But guys, there wasn't one of you that I saw. There wasn't one of you, according to our ecosystem, known as the comment section, that I read that said that Tom was going to get rid of Sergey and he was going to do to him what Sergey's done to everybody else, meaning he's going to knock Sergey out in the first round. I didn't hear that once. And one of the big problems that I had in being a Tom supporter over the week, and I wish Sergey well, by the way, complete stud, but I did have a lot of my focus on Tom. But one of the big problems that I did have is Tom doesn't have the ability that, say, Daniel Cormier would to make it to the second round. Daniel Cormier, as a lifelong wrestler, can get what's called an underhook. He can push you into the fence very hard to stop a guy with an underhook and a wrestling background whose elevation is shorter than yours from pushing you into the fence. What you do when you get there, different conversation. But if our goal is to just eat up around, somebody like Daniel possesses a weapon, somebody like Tom does not. Other people try to tell me, no, you don't know how good Tom is. Tom's like Muhammad Ali. He's out there floating around. He's floating like a butterfly. When he gets ready, he's going to sting like a bee. And like, it was a cool thing for you to say. And Tom does move well, but there's a caveat with it. Tom Aspinall does move well for a heavyweight. Muhammad Ali just flat moved well. Muhammad Ali was the guy that moved well, who signed up in the class known as heavyweight. Tom is a heavyweight. There's no other weight that Tom can go. Muhammad Ali could have gone other weights. Are you seeing the distinction? Muhammad Ali at 202 pounds could have pulled off 7 pounds and gone down a weight. That's the difference I'm trying to make for you. Tom doesn't have those tools. Well, that's what made this so surprising. And when you have those surprise moments, we all knew the belt was up. We all knew it was main event. We all knew it was Madison Square Garden, right? Go main event. Thank you, Ethan. What we didn't know is that if we check all those boxes, there was a way, based on the performance, that Tom Aspinall could gain even more stock. The reward for this was huge, but to gain even more, we didn't know that. It had to be the one thing we never talk about, but we do know this as fans, a surprise. You can gain stock in defeat if your defeat is surprising enough. See Francis Ngannou. See a charming young man from West Lynn versus a gentleman named the Spider who brought a belt and left with his belt, but the charming young man left with the sponsorships. There's a surprise. So after I'm armed with this surprise, and now I know what you all know, which is Tom Aspinall is the champion of the world, they threw the camera back to Stipe Miocic. And all of a sudden, the concept of calling and offering an interim championship match to Stipe Miocic does not any longer feel disrespectful. In fact, if you were to start the conversation and the arguments of who possible, likely, and above all deserving suitors are for Tom Aspinall's first title defense, I don't think you come to Stipe first. But right before that punch landed, same night, same arena, same everything. Difference in Bruce introducing the fight to Bruce introducing the new champion. In that period of time, the same thoughts of Stipe done by the same camera shot, with him wearing the same jacket and the same glasses, it felt different. I don't feel anything disrespectful about offering Stipe that shot. And I would feel something very disrespectful if we don't absolutely preserve the idea that we were told is being preserved, which is Stipe, Jon Jones. If we get away from that topic, and then somebody else gets brought in, and it wasn't even offered to Stipe, because, see, don't forget, Stipe did share that with us. Stipe is very great at being honest with you. And I think it was Helwani asked Stipe, how long did you consider taking the fight before they had to go to Tom? And Stipe said, it was never, ever offered to me. And then Stipe was very honest upon further questioning to say, I don't know that I would have. That wasn't the match I wanted. That's not where I was looking. I do want that belt really bad, though, but I want Jon. And I thought I could combine the two through that one idea. But Stipe still did share with us that it was never even offered to him. I'm, again, okay with that moving forward. If we preserve Stipe versus Jones, Stipe ending out the odd man out isn't right. Don't forget, nothing happened and there was no card subject to change due to any action or decision by Stipe. He had this done to him. So if everything's going to move on the way that we've been told, and we haven't heard anything different, it just now feels different. If everything moves on the way we're told, which is Stipe Jones, and we'll figure it out when we can figure it out, fine. But things do change very quickly, and if they change in this sport as it pertains to that title, I would feel a lot better if they did not move on and did not move in a direction that doesn't continue to involve Stipe.